Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Blonde.
Okay, thank you all for being here. My name is The Blonde, and I don't usually get to speak in public. Roy is the motor mouth, and Roy, as you will hear in a minute, talks about the Academy, but I've been given a short period of time to speak in public, so I'm going to make the most of it. Okay. The Academy of Fabulous NHS Staff is a repository of fab stuff. And, you know, it's such a privilege and so humbling for us to be invited here today, because already we have seen so much fab stuff. And so we're really looking forward to sharing your fab stuff. Bit of context, we're less than a year old. In fact, we'll be 1 year old on February the 14th. Love your NHS. Bit corny, but, you know, it seemed like a good idea at the time. We've had nearly 500,000 pages of fab stuff has been looked at by people. Okay, about 1,500 people a day look at the website to look at the fab stuff. Okay, so in a year it's become a bit of a juggernaut that's taken us by surprise, but it's such a privilege to share fab stuff. And Roy will talk, I'm sure, about the background to why he wanted to make this a reality. So really, I just wanted to say, I get asked a lot of questions. I get emailed by people saying, the Blonde? Really? You allow him to call you the Blonde? Do you not know what that means? The dumb blonde? And so I would just like to take these few minutes to explain about blonde. Okay. Blonde means important things around sharing. Okay. Blonde isn't dumb. Blonde is about you and the fabulous things you do each day, because every single one of you have the opportunity and do each day, you make a difference to people's lives. And I'd like to explain to you, using my blonde vocabulary, as to why it's really, really important as professionals, as individuals, that you share the fab stuff that you do. So I need a bit of participation from you. Okay, I can't do the Brokeback Mountain jokes that Roy can do, because I'm a nurse and we can't really get away with things like that. And I can't ask you to put your hand on each other's knee, because I can't really get away with that either. But I would like you to help me out with what you think the letters mean with regard to sharing. So if we think of blonde, if we think B, what do you think B could possibly mean in relation to you and the fab stuff that you do? And I am blonde, so this is a very technical phrase that you're looking for, beginning with B. Benchmarking. Oh, it's a bit too technical for the blonde, but you're nearly there. Okay. Best. Close. Sorry? Brilliant, yeah. It's very, very close. But actually, B stands for big it up. Boast about what you do. You do fab stuff. Certainly as nurses, I know in my background as nurses, we talk down all the time what we do. I just do this. I'm only this. Oh, it's just what my job entails. There's nothing just about anything that you do during the day at work. So, the first thing to encourage is big up what you do. Boast about it. So, given that we've set the benchmark for language, okay, what do you think L might stand for?
Lager.
Lager. What, with the February the 14th looming, Roy?
Lager.
Lager. What do we think it might stand for? Any other sensible suggestions?
Lust.
L stands for little things matter. Okay? We talk a lot about the aggregation of minor gains. We've heard today of a diabetes service that is saving a significant amount of money. If that was replicated, so the savings in admissions to hospital, if that was replicated, which it could be throughout the whole country, if you aggregate that, the impact on the NHS, if that was countrywide, is massive. So it's about the aggregation of minor gains. So people say, oh, but it's just it's a local little service that we've developed. almost certainly it's transferable, but almost certainly other people can learn from it. So little things matter, so please share them. So, O in blonde.
Optimism.
Optimism, yeah?
Obfuscation.
No, that's not a blonde word, Roy, is it? There is no way. I can't even say it, let alone spell it. So it's definitely not a blonde word. Sort of optimism.
What about ordinary people doing extraordinary things?
Oh, wow.
Oh, I think I'm going to have to change my O. Oh dear.
We've got a new blonde.
We
Do you
can't.
want to come on the road? Are you blonde? Who was it? No. Not blonde.
It can be arranged as mine is, don't worry. So, my O, not as good as yours, but my O is opportunity. This is a huge opportunity for you to share the fab stuff that you do. Not just for you, but to make a difference to other people. This isn't the most fabulous time to be working in the NHS. We're not swimming about in money. We've got scrutiny of external regulators. We have an opportunity to actually make a difference to our peers and colleagues in other institutions by sharing. Okay? So I think it's a huge opportunity. So we've got the B, we've got the L, we've got the O, although I think I'm going to be changing my O. What might the N stand for?
What? N?
N.
No chance.
Naughty.
Not well. Naughty. Yes.
You.
New.
Nude.
Nude. Your dreams, Lily. Never, ever underestimate the importance of what you do. Is the end. Okay. So people say it's a small service redesign. It can't possibly be important to anybody else. Yes, it absolutely can. Okay. It's the aggregation of mine again. So never underestimate the importance of sharing what you do, but also the impact that you make every day. Never underestimate that. So we've done the B, we've done the L, we've done the O, the N, D.
Didactic.
Oh, you're going to say dense. Dumb.
Dopey.
Didactic. Dopey. Yeah. But this equally applies to me, Roy. Determination.
Oh, God.
You've got to be determined to put up with a cantankerous so-and-so like you. You've got to be really determined. But you are really determined because every single day you work in adverse conditions, you work in stressful conditions, you're challenged, but you don't give up. You never give up, you're determined. So share your determination, share your passion with other people. And last but not least, the E. Extraordinary. He is, isn't he? Well, if I didn't say it, he would say it.
Elastic.
Big in your pants, Roy?
Maybe.
Yeah? Okay. The E is energy. Okay? I believe as professionals, as people working in the NHS, that we have an obligation to energise not only ourselves and our colleagues locally by sharing, bigging up the great stuff that you do, but actually energise our colleagues who might be in an institution 150 miles away that are 3 months behind you in trying to solve a problem. So let's think differently. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Share your ideas and energise other people who are at a different stage in the pathway of trying to rectify or resolve an issue for their service. So that's it really. Please share with us. You have the opportunity to showcase your work. It's on the homepage of our website, 1,500 people a day. We've heard rumours that Simon Stevens has the homepage printed off on a weekly basis and reads every single new share that goes on there. Some people say Jeremy Hunt has his special advisor printed. Some people, I couldn't possibly comment, but some people say. So it's an opportunity, so please share your fab stuff. And before I leave, I have to say that it is a huge privilege for us to be here. but it really is a privilege for me to be here because, as you heard, my background is colorectal and stomach care. And here you have an exemplary stomach care nurse who leads a team and does absolutely, so Pauline, you're going to hate me, you stand up. And it is such a, it's a real honour to be here, and I hope I haven't let you down, Gertie. And also, with some of my colleagues, my day job is head of education for Coloplast. I develop educational resources, and you've invited my colleagues to come. We've never seen you be blonde, and was Dr. T at work, so this is going to take some getting over at Coloplast. But anyway, so thank you very much indeed, and I hand over to Roy.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. See, you've upset somebody already. Well, they say never work with children, animals, and a blonde, so there you go. Well, can I just, on behalf of John, my business partner, and The Blonde, thank you all very much for inviting us, and to the chairman for allowing our madness on your patch. We're very grateful, and thank you all very much for those of you who we met across the corridor there in the marketplace this morning. If you want to know how to run the NHS, you only have to walk into that room, don't you, to feel the energy and the ideas. And as Terry said, these are ideas that you come up with to resolve your problems here locally, but they can be shared by other people, because you're not the only people walking in that direction. You're not the only people who's come walk in your shoes as well and copy what you do. So copying what you do is really very important. And people often ask me, they say, well, why did you set up the Academy of Fabulous Stuff? Well, I need to explain that John here is, John Wilkes is my business partner. And John has got used to being in business with me now for years, and we have our meetings, and he says, okay, what's the latest idea that you've got that's going to cost us money? And one day it was the Academy of Fabulous Stuff. Why did I set up the Academy of Fabulous Stuff? Well, because I got completely pissed off with the CQC. That's simple, okay? I can't think that there's a bigger waste of money and a waste of time than coming to inspect people like you. If you turn up and it's good, you've wasted your time. If you turn up and it's bad, you're too late. There is absolutely no point in inspection. We spend £200 million a year inspecting hospitals, and 16 years later, we still have a third of hospitals in special measures. So for me, the whole thing is a complete waste of time. What I know works, from having been in business since I was 16, I ran my first business when I was 16, what I know works is showing people what is good, showing them what good looks like, and they'll go and do it. And do you know what? You show them what good's like, and they'll make it even better. So the whole idea of the Academy of Fabulous Stuff started when I stood on the stage rather like this, and I was slagging off the CQC, as I do with great enthusiasm. They were in the audience. I love it. Just love headbutting them. And I said, wouldn't it be better if we had the Academy? I said, wouldn't it be good if we had a phone that we could ring up on the phone and we say, hi, I've got a problem with my chemotherapy or whatever. Has anybody else got a problem like that? And they'd say, yeah, they'd spin the Rolodex, because that's the way I think of Rolodex. They spin the Rolodex and say, yeah, there's 4 hospitals have had this problem, and here's how to solve it, and we'll put you in touch. Wouldn't it be a good idea if we had something called the Academy of Fabulous Stuff? Now, I was only having a laugh. Here we are, nearly a year later, and I don't know, God knows how many pages. How many? 500,000 page views? And we get invited all over the country to come and talk about it. And it works. Show people what good looks like, and they will do it. There's a take-home message today. Show people what good looks like, and they will do it. If you keep kicking them for stuff they get wrong, they'll get fed up and go home. Show people what good looks like, and they will do it. And I wish I could have taken the 1.3 million people who work in the NHS into that room this morning and saw what you were doing, because you know you have, in your specialties and the things that you're doing, you're able to show what good looks like. And that's really very important. And we've seen some fantastic things this morning that you should be really proud of, and we will help you to publicise on the Academy of Fabulous Staff, because we want to showcase what you're doing. Be prepared. We did showcase some work a GP surgery did the other day, and they had 167 phone calls before lunchtime, which is amazing, because whenever I ring my GP, I can bloody miracle. But we broke their phone system. Anyway, so look, what's our wider message? Well, look, I think we do need a bit of a reality check, to be honest. Is that a lorry reversing, or is it someone dying? We need a bit of a reality check, I think. It will come as a complete surprise to you when I say that I was actually born before the NHS.
No.
At this point, I pause and allow the audience to gasp and say, surely not right. So we'll just do that. I was born before the NHS. Just love entry. My dad was a window cleaner, my mum was a shop worker, and my dad had to save the equivalent of 3 weeks' wages to get a midwife to come to look after my mum. My mum lost the first baby. She was a woman at risk, and she should have gone to hospital, but my dad couldn't afford it. So we had a midwife come in, and my mum was 12 hours in labour. She said it was worth every minute. And on a hot summer's Sunday evening, I was born. And it was a wonderful event. I know, because I was there. So you can imagine 2.5 years later, when the NHS was born, how it took off the shoulders of working people, the worry and the anxiety of injury, accident, maternity. It was a defining moment, I think, in our country's life. Certainly a policy of brave political decision to be able to do it. And it changed working people's lives. And it's something that we should be enormously proud of. But it is true that when the NHS was born, the average working man lived until he was 67 and died usually after 3 weeks of being ill, probably in hospital. And so the NHS was perfectly designed to look after the people and the customers, in inverted commas, that we had at the time. Now, of course, it's entirely different. And we have people with long-term conditions, with diabetes and other conditions that would have killed them years ago. But today, they live on, they're late 80s. My mum, who died last year, she was 95 when she died. And so we have to think about what the NHS is going to do now, given that the profile of the people that we're looking after has changed so much, and our ability to look after people has changed enormously. So you will get people who will stand on a stage rather like this, and they will come and talk to you, and they will say, sorry, do you want something? Are you all right? Okay. Shh, what are you doing? You will get people that stand on a stage like this, and they'll come and talk to you, and they'll say, the NHS has to change. And you look at their body language. The NHS has to change. Now that's called anchoring, when they flex the knees. The NHS has to change. Now, I love body language. See, body language is when people say, yes, of course, the check's in the post. And that's called a tell. That means the check isn't in the post and I'm skinned. Or, with Valentine's Day coming up, of course I love you. Both shoulders go up. That's okay. It's when, of course I love you. One shoulder goes up. Find out what he's doing at the office. It's body language. So when the NHS has to change. Now that's called anchoring. And speakers do anchoring when they know that what they're talking about is a lot of rubbish. They make it seem more important by saying, change. Looks like they know what they're talking about. And they stick their arse out, don't they? The NHS won't change. That's because they're talking out of them. Because what exactly has the NHS got to change from to? We've got the most admired health service in the world, free at the point of use, young or old, rich or poor. We don't care, drug addict or granny, we'll scoop you up, look after you and send you home fixed up as best we can. What do we want to change? Well, I'm not sure what it is we do want to change.
Health secretary.
At the pub shop. Be careful what you wish for, because you might end up with Michael Gove, and then you won't be clever as well.
The other ways of dealing with them.
Do you want to come and do this? I've only got till 5:30. Up to you. I forgot what I was. Thank you very much for inviting me today. My mum. Talking out your arse. Oh, of course. Just reminded me. So what is it the NHS wants? I don't think we do want to change the NHS, but we understand, don't we, that it does have, we do have to be more nimble. We do have to be more innovative. We do have to approach things differently. And what have we seen this morning? The Advanced Recovery Programme. A hip operation and home in 24 hours, you're having a laugh. How do you do that? The diabetes is what we've seen this morning. The bereavement services that I was particularly interested in. All the things that we saw, you get that. You're not changing the NHS. You're improving the NHS. You're making it different. And making it different is a very large part of how we see things in our normal lives. For example, put your hand up. Who likes the self-checkouts in the supermarket? Put your hand up if you like the self-checkouts. Put your hand up if you like. Put your hand up if you don't like the self-checkout. Okay. Put your hand up if you're like the chairman. You send the butler. He doesn't got a clue what I'm talking about. Okay. The self-check, they're really interesting. Now, I did some work for a big supermarket chain last year. I can't tell you which one it is because I've signed a confidentiality agreement. But every little helps. We've got some in-store film where people queued to do the self-checkout whilst the Kylies, as they call them, were empty. There was Kylie that sits on the desk and beep, beep, beep. She's always called Kylie, isn't she? False nails, false beep, beep, beep. And then you get this big pile of stuff lined up on the right-hand side. And then she asks you the question, the cracker question. Do you want a bag? I would say, no, I'm going to juggle it to the car park. The other day, she said, do you want a bag? And I said, I'll have a bag for life. She said, at your age, I don't think you'll get the return. Everybody's a bloody comedian. Well, the self-checkout, I mean, I love the self-checkout, but you get the self-checkout, it's an unexpected item in the bagging area. There's 50,000 things on the shelves in Tesco's. What have I bought that surprised them? How did that happen? Authorisation required, and you clutch a bottle of Pinot Grigio like you escaped from rehab. But it is interesting because what's happening there is a whole programme, a whole policy that they have in supermarkets. It's called the customer adding value to the business. The customer adding value to the business. That's posh English for we do what they used to do. And we see it all the time, the ATM machines. How many here in the audience is old enough to remember going to a bank with a cheque, signing a cheque and waiting at lunchtime and there was only one person behind the counter because you can't expect the bank tellers to work at lunchtime, can you? I mean, they've got to go to another bank and cash their cheque. So, and now what do? We stand in the pissing rain with an ATM, punching buttons, because somebody's been sick over the night before. And we say, oh yeah, this is really convenient. But are the customer adding value to the business? And as we look at the future of the health service and the extent to which people with long-term conditions are now, I think it's something like 70% of our budget is now spent on people with long-term conditions. How do we get to the point where the patient adds value to the business? And this turns the whole prospect, the whole idea of the health service on its head. We heard of the diabetes services this morning. Really interesting services. And when someone has diabetes, we kind of love bomb them and we give them everything we can give them. But we're going to approach the time because technology will allow us to say to them, you have diabetes. I'm really sorry you've got diabetes, but it's your diabetes. You've got to look after it. We'll show you how. We'll give you the website. We'll give you the technology. We'll give you the algorithms, and we'll talk to you on the phone. But you have to do it. Now, that's a big change in mindset about how the NHS goes about its business. But the extent to which we can support and help people to become informed patients and users of the service and look after them entirely differently. I saw a really interesting, the physios, where are the physios? Are they here? Yeah, your air thingamabob doodle thing, where people look after themselves at home. Fantastic. You know, just 5 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to do that. The technology wouldn't have existed. You wouldn't have said, I'm sorry you've got breathing difficulties, but your breathing difficulties, we'll show you how to do it. And so we see these kind of innovations that creep in to how we look after people. And how we have to have a reality check and say, you know what, the NHS will be delivered in very different ways. And part of that is looking overseas. Internationally, I've been writing a lot recently about a fantastic company called Birdzog. You can look up yourself, it's BWRTZORG, Birdzog. It's a company in Holland, community company. I mean, they've got a slightly different system than ours, but effectively they're district nurses who look after elderly, frail people at home. Now, you have a problem in this hospital, like every other hospital, and that's getting elderly, frail people home, because social services have real problems. They've kind of cracked it. They've got a really different approach, because the district nurses at Birdzog are district nurses, but they're trained in tissue viability. They're trained in pharmacy. They're trained in benefits claims. They're trained in chiropody. They do the shopping. And they do the cleaning. One district nurse doing those 7 things. Talk to district nurses here about doing the cleaning. They say, I don't do my own cleaning. I'm not going to do it. But it's interesting, isn't it? How you look overseas, how services are delivered differently because it's one knock on the door. One district nurse has 12 patients to look after, and there's a 24/7 responsibility. It's a really interesting and different approach. And so when we look at the innovations and the ideas that we get at the Academy, what we intend to do this year, and I haven't quite discussed the budget with John for this yet, but we'll be setting up the Academy of International Fabulous Stuff. Because we know there are fabulous ideas internationally that we ought to be sharing and training and sharing it and moving forward. And as the pressures build on you all, as the service, goodbye, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Well, wait till he goes and I'll tell you what I really think. There's a lot to think about with us. When I say us, I mean you. Because the pressures that there are on staff these days are bigger and worse, I suppose is the word, than I've ever seen it at any time I've been involved in NHS, and I've been around since 1974. And I've never seen the pressures in the way that they are. And I look at the health service and I think, you know, I can't understand why it is that managers don't crawl from one end of the hospital to the other, begging people to tell them what they need to know. The ability of managers to go and listen. And we hear terrible stories about whistleblowing and how people try to raise issues. I come from a business background, and you know, I learned very early on that your most valuable asset is your staff. And if you have happy staff, you have happy customers, generally speaking. I don't think it's any different in the NHS, frontline staff. And I say time and time again, I say, protect the front line, fund it properly, and make it fun to work there. And your problems will disappear. Protect the front line, fund it properly, and make it fun to work there. And so often I get involved in complaints, you know, and I see how a simple, ordinary complaint suddenly festers into some awful bloody nightmare of a thing that with a file that thick and lawyers calling all over it, you know. And it's so simple, you know. With most of these complaints can be snuffed out and dealt with early on. If only we train frontline staff, you know, to 6 steps really: listen, sympathise, make notes, don't justify, agree a course of action, follow through. 6 simple steps in handling complaints that we don't train people to do that. Listen. It's okay to listen if someone's got a complaint. Sympathise. It's okay to say, I'm really sorry you've had this experience. That's not admitting liability. Being sorry, that's fine. Don't justify. If you've got any idea how short-staffed we are, not interested, your problem. This is my problem. Make notes. People love to see their complaints written down because they think you're actually going to do something about it. Agree a course of action. What do you like me to do about it? And follow through. That's the important bit. The most important bit is follow through, to deliver it, to make it happen. But so often I see, you know, the front line of healthcare getting itself into a tangle, and we hope that through the academy and the ideas that you're sharing, we can help to do something about that. And finally, I think in all the time that I've worked in the NHS, this is the most pressured. It does have the biggest turmoil, quite true. But it's also the most exciting time. Because with austerity comes innovation. So many of the things that we've seen this morning, you've said, we're doing this, and do you know how much money we've saved? And the diabetes presentation that I saw, the diabetes people here, they're gone. They're running a clinic. Oh, the profs at the back, yeah. I mean, if you multiply up the amount of money that you're saving across the NHS, the minor gains that you're getting here, you multiply that across the NHS, it's a shed load. So austerity is driving innovation in a way that I've not seen it in the NHS before. And the achievements that there are in the NHS and the challenge that there is, it is an exciting time. And I know it's an exhausting time, and it's a time where there's a huge pressure. But the excitement that there is of being a professional, delivering professional services, and the changes that it makes to people's lives are huge. Excuse me, are huge. And seeing how these things that you do, and as Terry said, you know, well, it's only our department and we did a small thing. Actually, no. The Falls example, that are the Falls people here? Oh, they just tripped off. No, Falls people here. I mean, what you're doing is a no-brainer. It doesn't require huge investment. It doesn't require some enormous analysis. It's people coming into hospital who don't fall over. Oh, really? You know, if a Martian landed here and we said, guess how much money we waste on picking people up who've fallen over in our hospital, they'd say, well, nothing, because the hospital is supposed to be the safest place in God's earth, isn't it? But it's not. And the design that you've got for the bathroom, it's ingenious. All of that kind of thing we could spread across the NHS, getting other people do it. And it was your idea, and you should be proud of that. And that's an exciting time to see how people are improving their services. And all of these services that I've seen this morning, all of them could be, they're replicable, they're scalable, they haven't cost a fortune. This is the Silicon Valley, I think, of the NHS. The ideas are us here. We get around a lot in the NHS, but I don't think I've been in one room and seen so many good ideas in one place ever. And I find that's exciting. So what I want you to do is I want you to stand up for me. Will you stand up? Would you face that direction? And would you give the person in front of you a pat on the back and say, well done? Would you stay standing? Would you stay standing? Because it's a great pleasure to share a platform with Terry. And I think this is one of the few times she's been. Go standing. It's one of the few times that she's actually been to Liverpool. She has been here before, and she has spoken here before, but she's never had a standing ovation.